Hey guys, it's Sarah. Today's video is going to be a 3 looks 1 palette on the new Shared Planet Polar Bear palette. This is a very new launch from a very new brand. I think they just launched in 2019, but I was really interested when I first heard about this brand because it sounds like they're doing some really cool things for the environment, for animals. They are a completely vegan brand and they're cruelty-free as well. They're Leaping Bunny certified. I don't think they are on Logical Harmony yet, but for me, the Leaping Bunny certification is enough to make me happy. First, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this brand and let you know a little bit about them. So they are cruelty-free, vegan, and child labor-free, which is huge, but they also donate 10% of their proceeds to a couple of different animal protection organizations. One is Panthera and the other is Polar Bears International. Panthera is a charity that protects big cats like tigers, panthers, lions, etc., and polar bears helps protect polar bears, which is awesome. And so their 2 eyeshadow palettes are the Polar Bear palette and the Tiger palette. I just love their mission. I love that there's a brand out there doing that. I'm just really pumped about this brand. Obviously this is not sponsored. This was a Christmas gift from my parents, so I didn't buy it with my own money, but it wasn't sent to me either. So it comes with 12 shades. It definitely leans very cool toned. So I wanted to do a video sharing 3 different looks with this palette. So let's go ahead and get into look number 1. By the way, this is look number 3, so you will see this one at the end. So I really want this first look to feature the Glacier shade here, this deep royal blue. So I'm gonna start out with Cub in the crease. I think this will be a perfect neutral transition shade. And by the way, this is my first time using this palette. I've noticed when I swatched these matte shades and also now that I'm using them, they're really not very powdery at all, which is kind of nice. I feel like most of my matte shades in my collection, especially in my high-end palettes, are very powdery, which makes them blendable, but I'm not having any trouble blending this. The next thing I'm gonna do is start packing Glacier all over the lid. This is always the type of shade that really stands out to me. This is one of my favorite colors. I have a lot of Christmas tree ornaments that are this color. That shade went on so beautifully. When you dip into the shade, it really doesn't kick up much powder. I did have to build it across, but it still went on. It's almost like I was applying like a pressed pigment or something. Okay, so now I'm taking a smaller crease brush and I'm gonna go into this gray color and I'm just gonna try to blend out that blue color a little bit. Okay, I'm taking my bigger fluffy brush again and adding a little bit more of Cub to the crease to just blend things out even more. Okay, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting this eye to blend. This one is looking a little better, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more of the gray shade to my outer corner to try and just get this a little bit more blended. So I wanna take a little bit of this Avalanche shade on the inner part of my lid. I just kind of wanna see what that shade is all about. I'm gonna try taking it on my finger. Oh, there we go. Definitely applies much better with the finger. Then I just wanna do a very light dusting of Icy. It's a shimmery, like pinkish champagne color as my brow bone highlight, but I'm gonna just keep it very light. Ooh, that's frosty. So next I'm gonna take this Polar shade. You can't really tell here, but it's like a duochrome bluish white. And I just want that to be my inner corner highlight. So I think to finish off the lower lash line, I just want to smudge Chili, the gray shade, very lightly. I'm gonna tightline with my Jordana 12-hour Made to Last black eyeliner pencil. And I'm just gonna finish off with mascara. I'm using the CoverGirl Lashblast Volume Mascara. I think I just want to keep the lips simple and use my NYX Butter Gloss in Creme Brulee. Just a nude pink. Okay, so that is look number 1 with the Shared Planet Polar Bear palette. I have to say I am really happy with the look. I felt like all the shades I used today were really nice, easy to work with. I had a little trouble blending. I'm just kind of getting the hang of this palette, but I did feel like overall the shades were really nice quality. So I'm back for look number 2. In look number 1, we played around with a lot of the like blue tones and the icy tones in here. Now I want to branch out into these more berry tones like Aurora here Prism. I don't know, I don't really have a plan for this, but we're just gonna kind of dive in. I'm gonna dust a little bit of this translucent powder from e.l.f. This is just their HD under eye powder. I'm gonna dust a little bit of that just on my, above my crease and up to my brow bone, just to make that area a little bit easier to blend out. I'm gonna start out again with Cub, which actually does pull a little bit rosy on my skin, which I really like. Okay, next, I'm really dying to use this Prism shade. I just want this all over my lid. Shade is a little bit flaky, so I'm just tapping off my brush. I think this is the first shade where I'm noticing any fallout. So now I want to dip into Sub-Zero, just this deep chocolatey brown color, and kind of deepen up the outer part of my lid with that. And just like the other mattes in here, when I touch them, they almost feel like a cream. So they don't kick up, they hardly kick up any powder when you dip into them, which is kind of nice. Kind of a nice just change for me, because I'm used to like my Anastasia palettes that, you know, they're great quality, but they definitely have a lot of kick up. But that's not really an issue here. But I still feel like they go on very pigmented and they blend pretty well. I want to blend it some more with Cub. This is such a useful shade. I really am glad that there's a shade like that in here. So I really want to dip into this Aurora shade. I kind of just want to put this in the center of my lid, kind of in between Prism and Sub-Zero. Kind of a cranberry pink color. Ooh, that's really pretty, especially alongside those other shades. I am having a little more fallout today than I did yesterday. Something to keep in mind, but I don't feel like it's out of control or anything. I'm just gonna brighten up my inner corner with Icy. This is the shade that I used on my brow bone yesterday, and I would not do that again. It's just a little too frosty for that. So I really want to see what this black ice shade is all about. It's just a matte black. The way that I usually use that type of shade is as a winged liner on my upper lash line, so I'm going to try that out and see how it does. Same texture as the other mattes in here. Very interesting texture. I really like the way that matte black went on. It went on very smoothly, and I feel like I was able to get a nice, like, soft, smoky wing with it, which is exactly what I like to do with that type of shade. Now I'm just gonna smudge a mixture of Cub and Sub-Zero on the lower lash line. Just gonna apply some mascara and then pick out a lip product. For the lips, I really wanna wear this Tarteist Glossy Lip Paint in Token. It's just this beautiful, like, rosy mauve shade. I think it'll go really well with this look. That is look number 2. I really like it. Very different from the first look I did. Really liking these cool tones. I used to not be into cool tones at all, but I'm really trying to branch out a little bit and use them more now. And I feel like this palette obviously is a great little introduction to cool tones for me. So anyway, that is it for this look. I will be back soon for look number 3. So we have used so far the blue shades in here, the more plummy shades, and in this look I really want to focus in on some of these really cool shades, especially the shade Arctic. So I like when cool smoky eye looks have a little bit of like a slightly mauve-y crease shade peeking through. So I'm gonna start with Cub because this actually pulls almost a little bit mauve on my skin tone. Without being super warm, I think it does warm up the look just a little bit. I really love that they included that shade because it's just so useful for me. I think if you have a deeper skin tone, it could work as a shade that you would use to like set your eye primer in place. You could use it as a brow bone highlight shade. It's just a very useful color. So I'm gonna dive into this Arctic shade now. It's like a dark silver, or like, I guess like a sparkly metallic gray. So I'm just going to pat this all over the lid like I would with any lid shade. I like that. It looks very messy right now, so let's fix that. I'm gonna dip into Chili now, which I think we used in another look, didn't we? It's just a matte gray. I feel like this palette is so unique to my collection because at least in my collection, cool tones are pretty rare. I feel like these just basic gray colors are quite rare to see in palettes. You see a lot of taupes, you see a lot of browns, but you very rarely see just like a gray. I'm gonna kind of go back and forth between Chili and Cub because Chili can be a little bit dark on me and I want my crease to just be very blended. It is so hot and humid in my apartment right now that I'm wearing a tank top in the middle of January. I actually want to try using Arctic with my finger to see if that brings out any more of like the metallicness of it. Yeah, I find that a lot of these shimmers work even better. I mean, they work with a brush, but they work even better with a finger because they almost have a creamy texture to them even though they are powders. I feel like it goes on more opaque with my finger. So the one thing the shadow is missing, like we've seen, is a matte cream color, which is totally fine with me because I have a million of those elsewhere in my collection, so do I really need another one? No, I'd rather have more interesting shades in this palette. So I'm just grabbing my e.l.f. Prime and Stay Finishing Powder. And I'm gonna use this to clean up the edges and highlight the brow bone. And I'm not done yet. I still kind of want to see what this look needs. So you guys know this kind of look is very outside my comfort zone. I'm not a fan of having a very dark shade on my lids, so I think it's pretty, it's just very heavy on my very light coloring and my small-ish face. I'm gonna take a little bit of Icy to brighten up the inner corner and maybe brighten up the lid just a little bit. Really nice inner corner highlight, but I want to take it in a little bit further on the lid just to open up my eyes a little bit. Alright, so now I want to smudge Black Ice, which is the matte black, in the outer corner using my e.l.f. detail crease brush for this. I like that this black is not like super intense. You kind of build it up as opposed to it just going on like with full pigment right away. But it still is definitely very pigmented. It's just, you don't have to worry about picking up too much on your brush. Just taking a little bit more of Cub. And for the lower lash line, I'm gonna take Chili, again, the gray, with a flat defining brush. So for this kind of look, I'm really feeling kind of a cool nude pink. So I have this Jordana Sweet Cream Matte Liquid Lipstick in Buttercream Frosting. I think this will be really pretty. Okay, so that is look number 3. I'm really pleased with it. It's definitely very dark for me. I don't normally go this dark, but I actually like the way that all these shades work together, and I don't think it looks too heavy on me. So I think it helped to add a little bit of Icy to the inner part of my lid, and I also really like how Cub softens up the crease a little bit because it can be really hard to make a matte gray look blended. So just to wrap up with some final thoughts, I'm really loving this palette. I think that this palette is for you if you are wanting to experiment with cool tones and if you like very sparkly metallic shadows. There's a lot of those in here. I personally like that this palette is mostly shimmer, so you have 4 mattes and 2, 4, 6, 8 shimmers. That's kind of like my ideal ratio because I love playing with shimmers. I always use mattes in my looks too, but the shimmers are the shades that I get really excited about. So I like that you have like your 2 kind of warm mattes, your 2 very cool mattes, and then everything else in between. So I feel like it's a very cohesive palette, even though there's a ton of different tones in here. You know, there's only 12 shades, but you have some really bright, fun blues. You have this kind of cranberry shade. You have some like mauve-y taupes. So I just think it's a really great, well-rounded palette, and I think this brand is doing a great job, especially since this is one of their first launches. I'm really impressed. Packaging-wise, it feels very sturdy and almost a little bit heavy, so I feel like it's just a very nice, durable, substantial packaging. I kind of like that they omitted a brush and they kept it all very compact. Even though it feels heavy, It's still very sleek, so you could easily travel with this if you wanted to. And it also has a nice big mirror. So there's just a lot of great things going for this palette. I think it's a great palette to add if you're looking to expand your collection. I love seeing a new brand come on the scene and just like totally knock it out of the park right away. I think that's amazing. I think that kind of wraps up my thoughts on this palette. I hope you found it helpful to see a few different ways that you could use it. Let me know if you plan on trying this brand, which of their products you're interested in. I think they also have some lip glosses, which eyeshadow palettes and lip glosses, those are like two of my favorite products right there. So I may have to check out their website again and maybe think about placing another order. Anyway, I think that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, definitely make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye.